People are unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. If you are successful, you win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spent years building may be destroyed overnight. Build anyway. People really need help but may attack you if you help them. Help people anyway. Give the world the best you have and you'll get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you've got anyway. This is a wonderful sign hanging in Sishu, Bavhan, or Children's Home, founded by Mother Teresa in Calcutta, India. Now, if we are to sum up the very message of this wonderful sign, it is faithfulness in love. Such is the life of the great saint that I'd like to highlight as a story that could heal us. The story of a great saint who has influenced the lives of a lot of people, including myself. And so this week, hopefully the life of Mother Teresa could inspire us. This year, September 5, 2022, we will celebrate the 6th anniversary of Mother Teresa as saint. She was canonized on September 4, 2016, and her death, which is September 5, was declared as the feast day to commemorate her life in the record of saints. And so as we come close to her 6th anniversary, I deem it well to look back and see and hear about her life. Mother Teresa, who has been an ongoing inspiration even in the modern church. So Bethanians, brace yourself, and may the story of Mother Teresa truly become a story that could heal us. Who is your idol? To many of us, especially children in their families, they would say that their idols could be their parents, their mother or their father. Or maybe to teenagers, they would say that it would be the great singers and groups of today, or the boy bands of today like BTS, etc. And maybe to some, it could also be their leaders in their own country, such as, for example, Joe Biden in the US, or maybe Bongbong Marcos or BBM in the Philippines. But regardless of who they are, we consider them as our idol because we look up to them. They serve as our inspiration in our daily living or day-to-day living, so much so that they move us in a special way to do something just by thinking about him or her. Such was for me Mother Teresa growing up. Even when I was in the seminary early on in my teenage life as a high school and a minor seminarian, I have always been a fan of Mother Teresa. I would read books and stories about her, and being inspired by her wonderful deeds, I was moved, in fact, to respond to the call of the priesthood. She is one of those people that I emulate, and I put even in my library as one of the great theologians of the modern time. She is not only a wise preacher, but also a proclaimer in her own way. We see in her life the concretization of the life that is being written or said in theology. So this week, I'd like us to be inspired by the life of Mother Teresa. And I'd like to highlight some healing lessons about Mother Teresa, which we could ponder on and reflect on and see how her life could move us in a special way and how her life could heal us, spiritually speaking, and even emotionally speaking. So, what are those healing lessons that we can learn from Mother Teresa? First lesson or healing lesson is to embrace life and to live it to the fullest. Mother Teresa is known for telling people to give their best in whatever they do. And as they give their best to whatever they do, Mother Teresa would always say, do it with a big smile. Do it with a big smile. So no matter how difficult life may be, once we give our best to it, God, according to Mother Teresa, will do the rest. So leave it to God. Do your best and put God at the center of your doing, at the center of your work, and God will do the rest. And so she once said these words, "Keep giving Jesus to people, not by words, but by your example, by your being in love with Jesus, by radiating His holiness and spreading His fragrance of love everywhere you go. Just keep the joy of Jesus as your strength. Be happy and at peace. Accept whatever He gives and give whatever He takes with a big smile. You belong to Him." I think what Mother Teresa is telling us is that in whatever we do, we should do it, yes, with love, but also with a big smile. And when we smile, of course, we know that we recognize that what we are doing is something that makes us happy, something that makes us whole, that we see meaning and purpose to whatever it is that we do, especially if our work is for the glory of God. So it is always wonderful for us to think about this and maybe to bear this in mind, that in whatever we do, we should give ourselves our best to it with a smile, because we know that when we do it, it makes us happy, it makes us joyful, and it makes us all the more closer to God. Because we all know that God is love. And as God is love, everything that we do in this world with love, with a smile, is something that pleases God. And so surrendering one's life is allowing oneself to be overtaken by God, to let go and let God, as they say. We no longer live solely on our own, but God lives in us and through us. Life is a gift to be valued and cherished, and so live it to its fullest potential. At times when we hear these words, we say, oh, it's very cliche. Lived life to the fullest. But Mother Teresa is telling us that, you know, God's gift, especially God's gift of life, is such an invaluable gift. And because it is invaluable, we owe it to God to make use and cherish this gift, because not everyone is gifted with life. And life is such a wonderful thing. Life is such a wonderful gift from God. And so one of the lessons that could heal us is to embrace it to the fullest. Make the most of your gifts. Make the most of God's wonderful gifts to mankind. And when we make the most of it, we'll find meaning to our lives. We'll find purpose to our lives. and so cherish it and not simply waste it away. Through Mother Teresa, we could see the beauty of life. We could see the positive meaning and purpose of our life. That just as she serves everyone without prejudice, she considers them as her purpose. She considers them as instruments to show and to give Jesus to other people. So may this be a healing means and instrument so that we could be able to enjoy life and live it to the fullest. The second healing lesson that we can learn from Mother Teresa is this: humility is the mother of all virtues and key to holiness. So Mother Teresa spoke of the value of humility in spiritual life with these words, and I quote, "Humility is the mother of all virtues, purity, charity, and obedience. It is in being humble that our love becomes real, devoted, and ardent. If you are humble, nothing will touch you, neither praise nor disgrace, because you know what you are. If you are blamed, you will not be discouraged. If they call you a saint, you will not put yourself on a pedestal." Wonderful words, right? Well, humility comes from the Latin word humus, which is ground. Well, who takes notice of the ground? The ground, if it is fertile, could make the plant grow, and that plant could become the most beautiful plant or fruitful plant there is. But before it grows, it has to die on the ground. So that is that image of humility that Mother Teresa would like to tell her people, as well as to tell every one of us, Catholics or not, that we have to be humble, because if we are humble, it would be much easier for us to live up to other values, to other virtues that could make us truly holy. Hear this testimony from a missionary of charity sister whose name was undisclosed. Mother had heard that there were many homeless men sleeping on the streets of London, and she asked to be taken to see them. So one night, Anne Blakey and I accompanied Mother. Noticing one man in particular, Mother got out of the car and went to him. At first, he took no notice of her presence, but when she took his hand, he looked up and said, "It has been a long time since I felt the warmth of a human hand." Mother returned to the car and told us, "This is a sick man. We cannot leave him on the street like this." Then we took the man to the Salvation Army. All her life as a religious sister, Mother Teresa is a clear model of selfless love as she helps the least fortunate people, mostly without any resources to tend for themselves. She does all these things without desiring accolades or awards, though she was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize, and always desiring to do everything out of love for God and others. Don't we feel fortunate or even better or happy about ourselves when we learn and know about the misfortunes of other people? Because we say to ourselves, well, I am better now. It is good that I am not in a condition or a situation where my life is desperate or that my life is unfortunate. But for Mother Teresa, she sees goodness to a person who is in need of something, to the least fortunate. and those who may be too sick as to be able to even tend for themselves. Mother Teresa is a clear example of a selfless woman, a clear example and a concrete example of what it is to be a humble person. Mother Teresa practically doesn't have anything. She lived her life begging for money, for people, for poor individuals, for the sick, and for the orphaned children. But though she does not have any money, she knows in her heart that God provides. She knows in her heart that once she has the money and the resources, she gives them all to the poor and the least fortunate among us. May we also find the same thing in our life. When we find ourselves in a situation when we are fortunate, we have more, we have much to fend for ourselves, then think also of those people who may be in need of what you have in abundance. Truly, humility could help us become more compassionate and understanding to those who do not have anything. Mother Teresa counsels her young charges that the challenges offered by this sign, and by this sign we mean the sign I've read from earlier, that it can be met only if human beings are motivated by a love and a respect for one another, which looks beyond faults, differences, ulterior motives, success, and failure. Mother Teresa once said of herself, "By blood and origin, I am all Albanian. My citizenship is Indian. I am a Catholic nun. As to my calling, I belong to the world. As to my heart, I belong entirely to the heart of Jesus." These very words speak a lot to the very person of Mother Teresa. We may know her to be a very simple woman, but she has a heart of gold. Her heart identifies herself with the people all over the world, with every individual, no matter what their class, their gender, their age may be. Most importantly, she recognized her life, her heart, to the least among us, to the less fortunate, the sick, the dying, the orphan, and those who are entirely in need of God's help. Mother Teresa was a beacon of the light of Christ, and she brought this light into some of the darkest parts of the world. And as a result, it truly and did shine brightly, even today. We can continue living her legacy by following her request. And what is that request? Let us do something beautiful for God. And if I may add to that, something beautiful to God with a smile. God bless us all, Bethanians. Until next time. For our symbol this week, it would be the lamp. Now let me explain why the lamp. Out of an article written about her and this wonderful story about her meeting with a man who has a lamp by Maura Rowan McKeegan. Saint Teresa of Calcutta once met an old man living in what she called a most terrible condition. One of the many ways she and her missionaries of charity sisters took care of their beloved poor people was to go into their homes, where the sisters would clean their houses, wash their clothes, and give them baths. Mother talked with this old man and asked him for permission to clean his home. At first he refused, but at last she convinced him to allow her to do it. While she was cleaning, she found a very beautiful old lamp covered with dirt and dust. "Do you not light the lamp?" she asked him. "For whom?" He replied, "Nobody comes here. I never see anybody. Nobody comes to me. I don't need to light the lamp." "If the sisters come to you, will you light the lamp?" Mother Teresa asked. "Yes, I'll do it," he answered. After that day, the sisters would go to visit him, and he would light the lamp. Years later, the old man asked the sisters to deliver a message to Mother Teresa. "Tell my friend, the light she lit in my life is still burning." Wonderful story, isn't it? Mother Teresa has suffered or had suffered tremendously in the darkness. She has experienced what we call in spiritual theology as the dark night of the soul from St. John of the Cross. But as she experienced this dark night in her life, she was able to overcome it by taking refuge in the very grace of God, in the very light of God. That in her darkness, she was able to find light. In her darkness, she was able to find Christ, who was there ready to help her in her distress, in her darkest moments. So Bethanians, as we celebrate Mother Teresa's feast on September 5, let us remember to let our light shine brightly just like Mother Teresa did. And if we are going through difficult times in this life, always remember that there is a light. There is a solution. There is always that comfort that God would readily provide. Let us seek and ask for the prayer of Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, pray for us. Mother Teresa, help us in our darkness and help us overcome it with the light of Christ.